Yay.
Yay, love the vision boards. They are so powerful, but I want to tell you a secret that we've learned about the vision boards. I think, and from doing this exercise, is making it as specific as possible. And I see a lot of vision boards and they say, be inspiring and living my dream. And I think you have to get more specific than that. I think you need to say, my dream is, and it's the type of home, and it's the type of environment you want to be in, because the more specific that you can make it, the more that you're able to send out those messages and to attract those opportunities to you. And even with our business vision board, we had make a splash in New York, and now we travel to New York monthly to do media campaigns and speaking engagements. We had have a best-selling book on our vision board, and we had gotten to the point where we had cut out the bestsellers list in the paper and cut and pasted the title of our book at the top of the list. And we got that specific with it. So this not only helps, again, create those opportunities for you, but also serves as your filter. So that if you do have an opportunity that comes into your life that isn't a fit with helping you get closer to what really helps you live your richest life, then that opportunity isn't something that you need to be focusing your valuable time on. And that is key.
And this is where we talk a little bit about solving that identity crisis. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit in terms of talking about your personal brand.
Yeah, and I think it takes what you talk about in your perfect day and your painted picture and makes it even more concrete and narrows it down even into a finer filter so that you can clearly articulate to somebody what it is you do that attracts money and makes money into your life.
So what we did as Smart Cookies, I remember it was one of our retreats. We were in New York doing some media and stuff, and we got together and we're like, okay, who are the Smart Cookies? Like, we clearly know there's the 5 of us. This is what we talk about. But we didn't know how we represented ourselves as a brand to our audience and to our fans and our followers and everybody else. We sat down and we thought, okay, well, let's just do a little chart and figure out all the types of different things that influence us and different things that people might know us for. Relatability, approachability. Are we approachable? And we kind of compared ourselves to some other money experts, some of the names you'll notice, David Bach and Jean Chatzky. And we just kind of graded ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10. And that really helped us own in on, okay, we're approachable. Why? Because we're 5 young women in our 20s and 30s at the time. And we thought we're approachable in a sense that we take a different approach to money, and our attitudes were different, and we didn't do the typical, well, 30% of this should be going towards your savings account, or 20% towards this. So it really helped define us as Smart Cookies as a brand in and of itself.
Yeah, and you can do this as your personal brand too, and I think that's what's so empowering. Why don't we get really clear about what it is that we do really, really well, and why that skill or talent deserves to bring money into our lives.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when we first started out, people would be like, so what are the Smart Cookies? And we were like, well, we really had a bit of an issue where we just had difficulty describing
We all said something different.
And we all said something different.
And I think this could be applied to anyone.
So really the key thing, the thing that we could associate it was, in just using this one-liner, well, you know how Weight Watchers is like a supportive group for women who want to go and get better and healthy and lose weight. They go and they have these weekly groups and they hold each other accountable. Well, we basically, the Smart Cookies do that for women in finances. And we do this by having the tools and the resources available for them to do so, and we also encourage them to start money groups. So that really kind of helped us own in on who our personal brand was. So when we walked into a room, this is what we're about. And the beauty of it all is that it can apply to anybody and everybody. If you're a stay-at-home mom, if you own your own business, if you have a side business, if you're at your dream job, you can really define it no matter what you do in life. We like to think of it sort of as your 30-second elevator pitch.
That's
you
exactly
meet
what
somebody,
it is.
like even here today. So if you're Brand walking to a party, so we're walking into this event today. It's like, say I talk to this lady here in the black shirt. It's like she comes to me and she goes, "What do you do?" I want to be able to define exactly what I do. It comes across in my personality, the way I'm dressed, and everything. Because I do a lot of networking for my job, and I have to be able to go in and tell about what I do and how I help people and what I do for a business. And it just exudes from people. You'll notice when you see people in a room full of people, there's the ones that are more quiet and they kind of sort of sit to the side, or they hang out with their friends. And then there's the ones you can just let loose in a room and they're the life of the party. And they know exactly how to network and meet people. And that's really what it comes down to when we talk about what is your personal brand.
And how do you tell your story to somebody as well? And I think that's the key. It's like if you were leaving that party, what's the feeling you want to leave people with?
We've talked about kind of defining your perfect day and your dream life, and it's like, okay, that's awesome, but how do you actually get there? And that was key for us. And I think the girls assigned this topic to me because if you can relate, I don't know if you've done this, it's like you pick something, you get so excited about it, you just like go hard for like the first couple weeks, and then you don't see the results, so you just give up. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but especially with personal finance, it's all about sustainable change, baby steps for the growth. So we wanted to show you just a quick example of what small wins would look like. So we picked debt, for example, because that was one of the top resolutions that we found so many people having to get out of debt. And again, as we said, you can say, I want to get out of debt, and that's great, but that's like, there's so many steps are involved with that, and it can feel kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
So we just kind of said, okay, so for example, week 1, okay, well, if I'm getting out of debt, I have to know my numbers. So I need to know the balances of my outstanding loan, minimum payments, and the interest. Okay, so that's week 1, that's all I have to do. That will take me no more than 1 hour, and that's it. That's my win, first step. Week 2, determine a payment plan. And this is something we've talked about before. This kind of goes back to the motivation. There's a great resource called whatsthecost.com. So you plug in all of the numbers that you found from week 1, and it will show you 2 different payment methods. So there's obviously the payment method where you can work from highest interest rate down, which is what some of us did when we were paying off our loans, or you can take the opposite approach and order your debts from lowest balance to highest balance. Now, again, you have to run the numbers because it tends to favor, in terms of interest paid, paying off your highest interest rate first. But again, it goes back to what kind of person are you. If you're the person who really values the small wins, then maybe focusing on the small balances, eliminating those, and then moving on will be your best strategy. I know that was the strategy that worked for me.
Too.
You don't necessarily have to pay, well, say everyone's doing it this way. What will actually work and what will stick for you? And then week 3, again, make it automatic. This is something that we did, that we love, making all of your finances automatic.
And this is great for even a savings account too, if you're in that position where you can start saving.
Find a support sister, an accountability partner. So your sister, or your sorority sister, your...
Well, and even thinking about your bank as an accountability partner too. And that's something that we learned early on, is that value the relationship that you can have with your bank. And I know that that's what Nevada State Bank also prides themselves on. It's having that personal relationship. So you can go in and say, okay, I have this financial goal, but talk to them about what that goal is and what it means to you, and see if they have resources that can, you know, maybe help hold you accountable or give you resources to get you to that goal faster. You want as many people on your team as you can get your hands on.
Exactly, and I think that's true of any goal we have, to have that accountability. And again, as Andrea mentioned, once you put it out there, you'll be surprised at how many people will kind of move mountains to help you get to where you want to be. And then the last one, this is what we wanted to kind of spend the later half of the talk, finding hidden money. So finding hidden money was a huge thing for us, to find money that we already had in our lives already, that we could put either towards our debt or towards our savings, towards our retirement plan.
Really and we did it really in simple things. For me, it was like, do I really need 150 television channels? I can maybe like trim down the fat in terms of looking at my bills. Cell phone bills are huge as well, that we'll get in a little bit more, but that's like where you can really get smart about finding ways that you can save money as well. Using a team that you have already, or referring or getting referrals from other people, and using your bank as a really solid beginning resource, because when we were in the money group, you know, Sandra really wanted to buy her first condo. I mean, that was one of her biggest goals. It's like, she's like, well, I need to educate myself on mortgages and what I need to do to apply for a mortgage, and how I'm going to be accepted, and what I need for a down payment. So we're like, I know somebody, a mortgage broker who we've worked with before. Let's bring them into a meeting and let's talk to them and ask them some really basic questions. And that really started off building off our dream team.
So you want to celebrate every single baby step that you accomplish along the way. And that's where having a team around you to celebrate with makes it so much, you know, if it's just party for 1 year apart when you've paid off your debt. We had a girl
we had a party for each one of us when we actually paid off our debt. Not an extravagant one, but just like a little getting together and celebrating, saying, yes, we did it. That's great. Let's celebrate and let's move on to our next thing.
Exactly.
Going into the real fun part, we all love to make extra money and make more dough. And save as well. That was one of the biggest things that we wanted to do in a money group. And we found really creative ways, because we're 5 women that are not all about depriving yourself. So we find ways on how we can save more money, make more money without depriving ourselves and the good things that we love to do in life and in our spare time.
It's about finding the money that maybe, you know, as tight as things are, and we know, you know, it's not as easy as it was even a few years ago to find and free up that money. We want to show you some creative ways that we use in our money group, but more importantly, even now. And as things have evolved with technology, there are some crazy cool websites and web resources that you can use to save money in your life as well.
A site called Money Strands, which is a free online site that we've started using. And this is actually a really great starting point for finding hidden money, because one of the things that we did in the early money group, when Andrea, for example, we looked at her finances and said, okay, you have almost $20,000 in consumer debt. What's the easiest place where we can look at? Well, that's where you're spending your money right now. So again, on a site like this, it basically pulls all of your financial information into one spot and clearly shows you the areas where your money is going. So for Andrea, for example, we looked at and we said, okay, you're spending almost $1,200 a year on coffee. Did you even know that you're doing that? Isn't that crazy? We're like, that's an all-inclusive getaway at the end of the year. What would you rather do?
The cool thing about Money Strands is, you know, in our money group meetings, we literally had to sit with all of our statements and add up all those little fees and all those charges. Money Strands within immediately spits out a pie graph and shows you exactly where your money is going. And you're like, oh gosh, that's how much I'm spending on going to the movies once a week, and that's how much I'm spending on my lunch. It's right there in your face. And I know that we mentioned a little bit about, we'll talk more about the program that we just launched on our website, and it actually is in conjunction with Money Strands. So if you sign up for the Rich for Life Smart Cookies Action Plan, it's hooked up with our partner Money Strands so that you can get an instant picture of where your money is going and also track your goals. But it's such a cool resource, and to use that technology is so, so invaluable to you. The other thing too to keep in mind, and the reason that we're all here today, you know, Nevada State Bank has a great resource that you can check out, nevadasmallbusiness.com, and that's where, you know, there's resources whether you're a small business or you're looking at talking about your personal finance. There's resources and tips and tools that you can use. Use your bank to help save you money and help your money grow. This is so important.
There's so many great resources out there right now. Energy, or Go Green as well, like energysavers.gov.rebates. You can get, it's amazing how many rebates you can get if you're just being smart about the energy that you use in your home, whether it's replacing it with energy efficient light bulbs, using cold water when you wash your clothes instead of hot water. It's ways that you can save a lot of money every year.
These are some ways too, and we're talking, these are opportunities to save some big money if they are applicable to you. One of the things we talk about is your property taxes. Your property taxes are probably assessed every 2 to 3 years, and the value of your home, as well as some other criteria, determines what your property taxes are assessed at, that dollar amount that you pay every year. And if the value of your home has gone down and it's not reflected in your property taxes, you can be proactive and have them reassessed. Well, what you want to do is make sure you have comparables. You want to be as prepared as possible. So you want to have comparables of your home to the other homes in your neighborhood. You want to have pictures. You want to talk to a realtor in your area.
If you're not a homeowner and you're a renter, there's a lot of power in how much you actually pay for rent. Do your research. This was a really great tool for us, because a few of us were renting at the time. We thought, well, we want to make sure that what we're paying for rent is comparable in our area for the square footage, for the type of place that we have, whether it's renovated or if it's older. And I actually had a friend who negotiated a lower rent because she was willing to lock into a 2-year lease as opposed to a 1-year lease. So it's power in the numbers, it's power in knowing your research and taking that, because there's often a lot of times where you can negotiate a bit of a lower rent with your tenant. I love cooking. I'm probably, out of all of us, I love spending money on food and cooking crazy meals and just experimenting a bit. But what I found that I was doing, sometimes I'll buy a ton of food and then you end up wasting a lot of it. Do you find that that happens, especially with the fresh stuff, and then you're like, great, I just threw out $100 worth of groceries. That's not very smart, Cookie. So these are some great websites. Supercook is actually one of my favorite, because you ever sit there wondering, what am I going to make for dinner? Oh, I want to make this, but I only have 2 of the ingredients, so I have to go out and buy more ingredients. This is a great website where you plug in the food that you already have, and it spits out a bunch of recipes that you can make with the food that you already have at home. So
it's genius.
It's
exactly.
So
it stops you from going down to the grocery store and spending more money. So it's just a really cool tool that I certainly use. I use a lot for cooking.
Yeah, and foodonthetable.com. So this is what this website does. You plug in your food preferences. So the cereal you like, do you like buying chicken or beef, and what brands that you like. And then each week you get an email, and it will say what stores in your area, so you give it your zip code, have those items on sale. It then emails you recipes and your grocery list. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, that one is
my mother nearly died and went to heaven when she found out.
Foodonthetable.com. And fuel as well. So we know if we're driving cars, the price of gasoline can eat up a huge chunk of our budget. Billshrink.com is a great resource. It will allow you to plug in your zip code, and the type of car that you have.